Susan at Big Taste Tiny Teardrop. Welcome if you're new, or welcome back if you've already been here. I appreciate you being here either way. In today's video, it's a little bit on the longer side, and I apologize for that. I'm just not technically savvy enough to figure out how to break it into two halves. But I do make it up to you with the historic ride that we took, the historic road, which is historic Route 12 from Torrey, Utah, all the way down to Bryce Canyon, Utah. And the scenery is incredible. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for big rigs. So that's where the tiny teardrop comes into play. In this video, we will share our visit to Capitol Reef National Park and Kodachrome Basin State Park in Utah. So buckle up, hang on, hop in, and come along for the ride. Okay, here we are at the end of another long travel day, and tonight we're going to have leftovers, and I'm going to add a little bit to it, of course. So Tabby's here with me today watching me cook, and first thing I'm doing is heating up the leftovers from last night, the peppers and onions and mushrooms and a little bit of field roast sausage. You can hear that sizzling nicely, and it smells just as great as it looks. That just has to get hot, and I'm just going to boil some water, and I'm going to cook up 2 packets of this millet and brown rice ramen. Now this is soup. I'm not making it for the soup. I just want the noodles. I am going to use 1 of the soup packets just to flavor the water, but I've got too much water in there to make it actually soup, so I'll strain the noodles when they're done, and we're going to plate this with the noodles on the bowl. Top it off with this veggie mix, and I think we'll add some cashew queso on top of it tonight as well. And that's going to be dinner. Very simple, filling, and nutritious. Dinner is ready, and we have a table with a view. All right, Tabby, so we're at the end of another day. I see we both have our tea. I'm really looking forward to mine. It is my favorite, chamomile. And I also have a little project I'm going to work on tonight. I treated myself. I've been wanting this for a long time. This is the Parks of the USA water bottle, and it came with stickers, 1 for each of the parks. So I'm going to put the stickers on for all the parks where I have already visited. And I have several more on this trip to come, but many that I've already done. Enough of that. Let's talk plants. So today for breakfast I had my oatmeal, and in my oatmeal I had fresh strawberries and a banana, and I used some cinnamon and flaxseed and a little bit of sugar. And then for lunch I was munching on some green grapes, and then we stopped at a Subway, and my husband and I split a wrap, and on that wrap, it was called a Veggie Delight. The wrap had lettuce, spinach, tomato, red onion, cucumber, pickles. I think that was it. I don't remember. Maybe one other thing. And so for dinner tonight, there was a rainstorm threatening, and I was very tired. I stayed up late last night trying to catch the aurora borealis to no avail. So I'm going to go to bed early tonight. I tried. So I just heated up the leftovers from last night. We had the leftover fajita mix, the peppers and mushrooms and onions with the. So I think that's a pretty good plant count here. I will check it off in my master log and see how we did for the day. But in the meantime, let's get cozy and end our day with some tea. Hey, I'm at a convenience store for breakfast this morning, and I purchased a yogurt, and I added some of my granola and pumpkin seeds to that. This is going to be a quick and easy breakfast because we are on our way into Capitol Reef National Park, and I'm going to the Gifford House to get some pie, which I will eat for breakfast. Capitol Reef National Park we found to be a bit of a disjointed national park. It wasn't typically like the others where there's a central area. This park had all different sections that were not necessarily connected. And also the smallest parking lot I've ever seen at a visitor center. On this visit, one of the park highlights of the water pocket folds, the scenic road, was closed. So the highlight for us was coming to Gifford House nice and early for the pie. We enjoyed both a peach and a mixed berry mini pie. We then basically just drove wherever we could into the park and then on Route 12, as there were several scenic historic pullovers. We stopped at several of the petroglyph sites. One of the coolest geologic features were these depressions made over time. They look like bowls, and you could see them all over the park up close and also in the distance. In Capitol Reef National Park, the term water pockets refers to these small basins common throughout the fold, giving the feature its name. These pockets help to store water and sustain life in the arid climate. Cassidy Arch, hidden in the hills. You gotta look for it. I was very taken with the colors of Utah at this point, just marveling at all the depths of sienna, rust, orange, and brown. Those colors don't sound very exciting, but displayed in their natural glory, they were truly magnificent, and especially in contrast with each other. There was a lot of layering in different rocks, almost like there's a dessert called a trifle in a bowl with all different layers. And so that's what these rocks reminded me of. It was really beautiful. Although rocks and water pockets take center stage at Capitol Reef, my favorite were the male trees. These mature sentinel trees trace their sapling roots back to the Mormons settling this area in the 1880s. Dating back to as early as 1918, local mail carriers would use these trees as drop-off and pickup spots for the next carrier to continue along the route. The settlers were able to keep in touch with family and friends conveniently by using the mailboxes that were eventually placed alongside these trees. This area became part of a designated historic area known as Fruta, which was very fitting with all the orchards nearby, including the ones at our campground. So here's something new in the pan for me, something I have never made before. I thought I would buy it and bring it along on this trip, give it a try. It is tofurkey plant-based deli slices, smoked ham style. Kind of reminds me of fried bologna when I was a kid. I am making this and then I'm going to chop it up small because I'm making a bit of a pilaf for dinner tonight. So I guess this whole dinner tonight is a bit of an experiment. But after all, that's what cooking is. It's a bit of chemistry and artistry. And so I'm going to use a couple of other new products. I'm trying to make a one-pan meal tonight. So here are some dehydrated veggies from a company called Well Your World. And they also made this veggie broth mix that I'm going to put in there. And to rehydrate the veggies, I'm going to add an equal amount of water for that portion. And then I'm going to add my trusty quick cooking brown rice and the appropriate amount of water for that. And I'm going to add the frozen peas that I have. And this should all come together, including rehydration time and cooking time. It should take about a half an hour to make. All right, I think the veggies have hydrated enough. I can tell that the carrots have plumped up. We've got some tomato in there, and celery, and red pepper, and onions, and some peas. I'm not sure what else, but it looks good. I'll put that in. Now it's time to add in the rice. I already added the water for the rice. And it's not going to take long to cook on the heat, so I'm going to add the peas now. Okay, here's the finished product. I realized in looking at this, I didn't quite make enough, so I'm going to add a little bit of something to the bottom of our bowls. I'll show you that when I prep this in a minute. So I tasted it first and decided it needed a little oomph, and I sprinkled on some feta cheese. Feta makes everything better.
State Route 12, or Scenic Byway 12, is also known as a Journey Through Time Scenic Byway. It is a 123-mile-long highway designated an All-American Road located in Garfield County and Wayne County, Utah, in the United States. We started our drive in the town of Torrey, which is just 8 miles from the entrance to Capitol Reef National Park. Driving this road is a geological road trip across ancient seabed remains with the highest elevation at 9,000 feet. Between Boulder and Escalante, the road is called the Hogback. The road runs on top of a ridge with steep drop-offs on both sides. The scenery is absolutely amazing, and looking down will give you that thrilling feeling as you drive. Curvy, steep, windy roads, high elevation. The Hogback was indeed a thrilling high elevation, steep canyon on both sides with the curvy switchback sessions and hairpin curves, not for the faint at heart or those driving large RVs. One of the highlights, driving through the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument area, I wouldn't understand or fully see until we got to Bryce Canyon when we were at elevation. And then I could literally see the staircase canyon / sandstone cliff effect in the distance. In addition to all the darker clay color variations, as we get closer to Kodachrome Basin State Park, we are beginning to see lots of bleached bone color. I must give credit to that phrase to the very friendly shopkeeper in Griffin's General Merchandise Shop on Main Street in Escalante, Utah, a small town where we stopped for groceries and crayons. I wanted to capture the colors and was disappointed that none of the parks we had seen so far sold any boxes specially curated to showcase the colors of Utah rocks. I feel like they were missing out on a marketing opportunity. If you're listening, Crayola. Okay, here we are. It's lunchtime and it's raining. We are at Kodachrome Basin State Park in Utah. And the camper had her first earthquake on Route 12 west from Torrey, coming through the Grand Staircase Escalante area. So she's a bit of a mess right now, and we don't feel like getting out and tidying her up. So I'm digging through my box of goodies, and I'm going to have some almond butter and an apple and some maple pecans. And what else? We'll have a little Larabar, and I think that'll do it. I'm going to call that lunch. There is a wonderful visitor center that I highly recommend just before arriving to Kodachrome Basin Park. Our arrival to the park coincided with a rainstorm, and the colors here remain consistent with what we had been seeing. A unique geological feature here were stone spires called sedimentary pipes. There are 67 in the park. The color and beauty found here prompted a National Geographic Society expedition to name the area Kodachrome after the popular color film in 1948. And I can't get that song out of my head. It's a beautiful song, and you will understand the anthem as you visit the park.
Step one for tonight's dinner is to cook up some broccoli. I didn't have any fresh, but I was able to find a bag of frozen broccoli, so that'll work just fine. I've got a craving for broccoli, haven't had it now in 2 weeks, so we're having it tonight. Okay. Part two is heating up about a tablespoon of olive oil in a pan, and tonight I decided to add my seasonings right to the oil, so it'll get on the underside of the gnocchi that I'm cooking. I don't have any roasted crushed red pepper with me, so I'm going to use this. I think that'll add a little bit of heat. And then a little bit of garlic powder. So into this, I'm going to pour and leave undisturbed some shelf-stable gnocchis. That one later. Okay, so the idea for these is to have them cover the bottom layer of the pan, preferably one layer, but they'll overlap a little bit, and then let them cook, and they will sear on the bottom, and we'll end up with a nice little crunch when they're ready. I'm going to leave them here in the pan for about 10 minutes, then I'm not going to turn them all one at a time. I'm just going to stir them up and try to flip to the other side, and I'll show you that. Okay, so the broccoli is cooked and drained. We'll leave it there till I'm ready for it. Now we'll give these a little stir, see if we've got any crispy on the other side. Okay, so the gnocchi are cooked. Now the next step in this recipe is to add some butter. I am adding regular butter because the camp store, surprise, surprise, they didn't have any vegan butter. And I could have just used olive oil, but the butter really does add an extra special quality to the mix. I'm going to let that melt and foam up, and then I'm going to add some honey. Sounds crazy, but it's delicious. You can hear that nice sizzle. Now, I'm going to add my cooked broccoli. Break up some of these florets, they're very large. These have cooled down a little bit since they were done cooking and drained. So I'll leave them in the pan for just a little bit. Stir them up. Get everything nicely coated with the butter and the honey. In the finishing touch, I did have some vegan Parmesan that I brought from home. Zoom right in, take a look at how nice that looks. Not too bad looking for a camp meal. Crispy gnocchi with broccoli and honey.
Well, that's it. Thanks so much for spending time with us today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned next time to see where we're going and what's cooking.